guys. Welcome to Bourbon Nights, where we have real talk with men. So, listen, tonight we're going to discuss the misunderstanding of men. And so, before we get started, okay, can you guys please just take a minute to share Bourbon Night on your page, okay? Also, like our page, follow us, all right? You can follow us on YouTube and Facebook. We're at Bourbon Nights, okay? All right. And so I'm one of the co-hosts. My name is Vicki Walls. I'm a licensed professional counselor here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay. I am CEO of a Better You Counseling Center and Sister Girls Empowerment. And the rest of our lovely co-hosts are.
I am the April Michelle. I am a licensed social work here in the greater Indianapolis area. I specialize in depression, anxiety, and trauma.
And I am Love's Passion. I'm a clinical certified sexologist specializing in women with arousal issues.
What's up? I am Dr. Tanisha Guy, also known as your bougie therapist, the one who is building opportunities uniquely with grace, integrity, and excellence.
Yes.
Well, welcome to Bourbon Nights, and today's topic is going to be one for the books. We do have our special guest here with us tonight, and the first guest that we have is going to be our very own master of business and management. He's currently a financial guru that helps others become financially free and build wealth. Derek works with BNSF Railway. He works with BNSF Railway headquarters for 5 years as an engineer. He is married for 5 years with a 2-year-old. Welcome, Derek.
Thank you.
Hey, Derek. Good to see you.
Good to see you again as well.
Awesome. So, and our next guest is going to be a guy who is a music educator. He's a music composer and a motivational author, Mr. Tyron Barnes. How are you, Tyron?
Doing well. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing amazing. And last and not least, I do hope he is there. It's not okay. So we will introduce our last guest. He's having a little bit of technical difficulties getting on, but we'll introduce our last guest once he comes on. And tonight we are talking real talk with men and ladies. What is our topic for the night?
The misunderstanding of men. So we're ready to hear what the men have to say about this. That topic, the misunderstanding of men. So we wanted to pitch it to Tyron and Derek, and we just want to hear from you. When we talk about the misunderstanding of men, what comes to mind when you think about how you feel that men are misunderstood?
Derek, you want to take that first? You want me to go ahead and go after?
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and go first. And to me, like when I hear that, the first thing that comes to my mind is that men are not a monolith. One of the number one things that I hear a lot when hearing this conversation come about when it comes to men is the fact that all men are the same. We don't know how to communicate. We don't know what we want. We don't want to be serious or like everything negative. And this is always a blanket statement when it comes to men. And that's not necessarily the case. So I think once you really break down the makeup of what manhood looks like, it comes down to that of knowing like men are not the same. We come from different backgrounds. We all have a different story. And to paint us with a broad brush, I think is a bit out of touch.
I love that. I love that. And you, Mr. Quigley?
I would just say that, you know, we're not easy to figure out. A lot of times we're, put into a box or what people think that we're supposed to be, whether that's being a father, whether that's being a husband, even at work, different things, people have an idea of what that's supposed to look like. And that's where the misunderstanding comes from. Kind of like what Tyron said, we all have different backgrounds. We all come from different types of places and we do things for a certain reason. And we operate differently. So taking the time to try to understand that person goes a long way. But probably the main reason why we're misunderstood is because no one really understands the backstory of why is that man that way, right? Why is he so angry about certain situations? Why is he, triggered by these certain moments? So there's a lot of stuff that comes with that.
Awesome. So we do have our next guest. He is a creative director of Made by Bro. He is a renowned broadcasting company. He owns a renowned broadcasting company in Fort Worth, Texas. He is a loving husband and father. He also is a photographer, videographer, and mentor. And since 2015, he has been a collaborator. He's collaborated on significant clients, including Sodex Magic and American Airlines, testament to his professional versatility. He is an active mentor of My Brother's Keeper program. He also is committed to making a difference in his community. We have none other than the one and only Nucky Bro Jr. How are you, Mr. Nucky Bro?
I'm great. I was chilling in the background, listening to the broadcast. So yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. How y'all doing this evening?
We're
Hey,
amazing.
Hello, how are
Amazing.
you?
Already.
So,
Fine.
Right.
so let's
So
get
you
you
said you
caught
were
up.
chilling in the background. So that means
Huh?
you got to kind of
Yeah,
hear what the men were saying about how they feel that
yeah,
men are misunderstood.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and share yours then?
Yeah. I think understanding is not a um skill issue; it's a will issue, right?
Mm,
Are you willing to understand? Do you want to? Because everybody has when we say man, okay, we're focusing on men now, but when you think about individuals are not a monolith. They're not the
mm,
same. So naturally men, because we're human as well, we're not robots, we're different as well. So I mean, I think understanding comes to a will issue, because everyone, I mean, except people that's deaf, you can hear. And I feel like communication is something that you have to be willing to do to get to the point of understanding. But we'll never get to an understanding if you're not willing to.
So, Nucky,
mm.
I appreciate that.
Hmm.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit for me? When you talk about willingness,
Yeah.
what do you think are some things that get in the way of people being willing to learn about someone else, in
Hmm.
particular men?
Okay. Well, I mean, I think specifically men, us, um, and this is my personal experience. I'm gonna say, it's an I statement. I would say that I'm looked at as I don't hurt or I don't feel. So it's hard to get to a place of understanding when you're already starting with that foundation, right? You're already starting with that premise that, oh, he's a black man, he doesn't feel, he's this, he's that, he's this, is that. And like I said, we're all individuals, we all have different histories and different perspectives. Just like on this call, we're not all going to agree because we all are not the same. The Most High is that great to where he made us all individuals. So I just think that, when you're viewing a person like that, oh, say, so a lion, you saw him in the jungle, and you saw the panda bear, right? The lion is, you're looking at the lion like he's going to kill that panda bear. You're not once considering, that the lion is hungry, that his kids are starving. You're not considering that. And and I think that's what happens with black men. We don't they don't we People don't consider the fact that we do feel and we do hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Do
So
you
we
think
can't.
that also within our own generation, though, sometimes in our own community, in our own culture, that culturally we raise men that way too,
Yeah,
also in terms
yeah,
of parenting?
yes, yes. I mean, I think, and not take too much time up, but my dad was trying to teach me how to ride a bike. Like for the first 10 years of my life, I had my dad in my life, and he was trying to teach me how to ride a bike. And my mom would do that as well, but she had a different method of doing it. My dad had a method of, I'm gonna send you down the street, and whatever happens, happens. That was his method, right? And when I went down the street, I fell. And all he said, he yelled, he said, "Hey, boy, get up." And in that moment, I didn't know what he was trying to teach me. But in that moment, it's something I think that most black parents feel about their black boys. When you fall, there is no one coming. There's no one coming. You have to pick yourself up. There is no policy put in place for you, black man. There is no protection. There's no one coming. So if you can either lay in the street and get hit by a car, you could pick up and get back on your bike and see what you could do with that. Because you gonna fall again and no one's gonna come again. So that's the premise that we taught from.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? Because that was pretty powerful, that if you fall, nobody is coming to get you. And what I heard you all say is that obviously black men are not a monolith. You all are completely unique and different, but yet there seems to be this universal theme. Despite all black men being different, all men being different, there's a universal theme that men don't feel, men don't hurt, and you are the solo wolf out here, and nobody's coming to protect you. Is that what I'm hearing? You guys, is this your experience?
I would agree to that, and I would also add to that. That's our own doing.
Yeah, I would add. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah,
I would
that's
agree.
our own doing, and the reason is because we've been taught to be like this strong person so much to it, and we've lived that, and we've exhibited that in our behaviors and in our mannerisms and in our disposition, and so now we've gotten to a point to where we're almost like, we got to be Superman instead of Clark Kent, if that makes any sense. And so,
who is Clark Kent?
Man, don't do that.
No, I mean, when I say who is, I mean, I know who Clark Kent is. I'm saying who is Clark Kent that you cannot be, but you have to be Superman.
Like
so who is he?
The ordinary person, like ourselves. We got to put on like this shield, this protective shield, like this superhero power. We got to have that every day. We can't be our own selves every day. We can't exhibit the pain that we feel, the pressure that we feel, the emotions that we feel. We can't do that because number one, we are perceived to not have them, and when we do have them, we are seen as weak, or when we do show them, where they're exploited. So now that our own emotions are weaponized against us by women.
I think most.
Did you say your emotions are weaponized against you by women?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's everybody uses that against us.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, it's again, when I say we know no one is coming, the world knows that too.
Yeah,
the world knows that too. So you can mistreat me, and nobody's coming for me. You can call me all type of names in public, and no one is coming for me. You can admit to robbing me, drugging me, and robbing me, and nobody's coming for me. Right? You can do all of these things to me, and nobody's coming for me. The world knows that. So when we step outside our house, our homes, we have to put that armor on, because if we don't, we may not make it back.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like double standards is what I'm hearing when it comes to how men are perceived and what we expect of men. It's a double standard. Like we are the one that can be emotional. We are the one that you guys are supposed to be here and to protect, but at the same time, we don't supposed to protect you because you're supposed to, already be.
Well, we have to define protection, because that
Mhm,
comes and that comes in different ways, right? Because sometimes it's not protection of the body, sometimes it's protection of the mind.
mhm,
You got to
Come
think
on,
about it.
let the girl say that.
When I'm outside, I'm treated like a second class citizen. When I come home, I can't be in that same space, because where is my peace? Where's my peace? Then I crack. And then now it's the angry black man or the crazy black man. And then now we have to apply force to him now. Right. But
mhm.
then when I think, it's like, okay, yeah, I hear you. Get out there and punch somebody.
Ooh.
Right. And I'm stuck in a space where, man, I want to use my mind. I want to be loved for that. I don't want to be loved for this brute strength that you think I have. I'm all of me is super, not just that. All of me.
So is it safe to say then when like you said you're looked at it as if you're angry, is it safe to say that that's really hurt? Like men
Um,
are hurting? They're not. I mean, we see anger,
yeah,
but that it's really
yeah,
hurt.
yeah. I mean, it's a communication issue. I don't think we know how to communicate our feelings. Like we have them. We lash out in ways that we feel gives us power in that weak moment. We don't understand how expressing it in another way is power as well. We
Mm,
Well,
all taught that. I
at
mean,
the,
we're
at the
taught that way.
same time, though, nothing. I'm gonna tell you like this. In my experience, I can't speak for all other men, but in my
For sure.
experience, and when I express myself verbally, that
Mhm.
gets nowhere. It
Well,
gets
I
nowhere.
mean, from
It gets nowhere.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I'm saying it starts at home, bro.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's all I'm saying. I'm saying, like, because in the world, man, I can't change the world,
right.
but I could set the tone in my home so I don't talk crazy to my woman, so she won't talk crazy to me. I listen to her, so she'll listen to me. We communicate because we set the tone. The woman mirrors back what we do. So if we gon', you know what I mean, we in there yelling and stuff like that, man, then she gon' lash out her way, right? Man, we gotta learn that, man. We set the tone, bro. At the end of the day, we set the tone.
You got to be the thermostat and not the thermometer, for sure.
Mm. So do you
Facts.
think?
But
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Facts.
no, I was saying, but it's something that's, not second nature to us. They
Nah.
both touched on it earlier. Is, we grew up to be this way, men, right? Couldn't show no weakness. You had to be this way. So you're asking us to do something that we don't know how to do, right?
Yeah.
We never got to turn on that switch, and so all of a sudden now you got to learn to cut on the switch.
Hold up.
Like you're saying, whether it's for your wife, whether it's for your family or for your kids. So it's like trying to find something that you never knew how to even do, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
So
working at a deficit.
So when we talk about the misunderstanding of men, and it sounds like again, this is how men are misunderstood,
Yeah.
by society, by, the people that we are close to, our family, our loved ones, in
Mm-hmm.
order to be understood.
Mm-hmm.
Like as far as women, we don't understand men. We only know what we know from what we
Yeah.
are told and from what we are shown.
Yeah.
So when it comes to having an understanding of men,
Mm-hmm.
does it make sense that it seems like the first thing to work on being understood is for the men themselves to go back and understand who they are? Because like you
Yeah.
guys said, one of the misunderstanding is they think that all men are alike.
Yeah.
So if that's not the case, then all of you guys are different,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
have to take that whatever that society put on you and group being together is all supposed to be strong, all supposed to be doing this and all supposed to do that. You have to go back and talk to that little boy that was told that,
Yeah.
which is where the misunderstanding come from.
Yeah.
And then he lives this life that he was told he's supposed to live.
Mm-hmm.
And then here you are living this ideal version of who you are, not the real version of who you are. And at the same time, you get lost and you don't even know who you are
Yeah.
as a man or how you're supposed to be as a man. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense for you guys to go back and have a conversation with the little man
Yeah.
so that you can, know how to communicate that to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been on a 42-year case study this past 42 years. And because everything that I speak is kind of from my own experiences. Um, yeah, you have to that's a road that you have to go down in order for you to empathize with people instead of sympathizing with them.
Mhm.
Like I empathize with my wife. I don't be like, man, I'm sorry that's happening to you. I feel what she feels. Because I'm feeling what I feel. But it has to be a space where we can express those feelings outwardly, without lashing out and wanting to flex. Um, I mean, men, man, we feel the same way, just like everybody else do. It's just we know what we up against, right? We know what we up against, man. We have to be prepared for anything to come our way and for it to be justified, right? Like it doesn't matter whether I'm right or wrong. It's just a matter that I'm accused. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I'm accused. So it don't even matter whether I'm right and wrong. So not only do I have to be strong, but I gotta walk on eggshells. That's a balancing act, right? That's a balancing
mhm.
act, man.
I have a question for all three
Huh?
of you guys, because I heard you all make mention to um, the inability in certain situations to be expressive of how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has the capacity to feel. We know that, whether you're a woman or a man. So my question to you all as men is, what happens when you attempt to communicate emotions in an appropriate way, whether it's crying, whether it's talking, whatever it is, and the person you communicate that with does not receive it in a healthy way? Or, yeah, does not receive it in a healthy way. How does that
That's
impact your experience and your decision to either do that again or not?
That's terms
Um,
for shut down easily. I
yeah,
mean, you're taking a moment for us that's a vulnerable moment for men who,
Yeah.
once again, that's not second nature or or first nature for them, and you're tearing it apart. Just like a woman would when they're dating. Do here go this block wall, and you won't get there again. It's gonna be a long time for you to get to that part again because
Mm-hmm.
we taking apart to
Yeah.
open up and you backfired on us.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
Um, Doing
Mm,
that takes a level of trust that
Facts.
that you I don't want to say that men's emotions are superior to a woman's emotions. I'll never say that, but we value our emotions the way rich people value their money.
mm,
You
Mm.
know, we let very few people get to that place. And
mm,
so if me as a black man, if I feel like I'm gonna go on a journey and take this leap of faith and trust you enough to be vulnerable with you, and you treat it like that, you will never get that from me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
mm,
Mm.
Never get that from me.
Yeah.
Like I'll I'll keep that internal as long as we're in that relationship together. Like, and that's something that I don't know. Like as men, I think y'all can, Derek, Nucky, y'all can agree with me that we hold that close to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
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 And the crazy thing is, another woman can ruin that for another woman, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and
mm.
that's the part that gets difficult is it couldn't even been you. It could have been somebody before you, and that wall is
Yeah.
still up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. If you do that, I'm not going to be able to open up to you the same way. Um, but this is chess, not checkers, right? So like
Mm.
just we said, like men is not a monolith. Women ain't either, right?
no.
Women ain't either. Sometimes, man, I self reflect. I can look at what the other person did, but I can also look what I did and how that triggered me on with they did in the situation. I can only look at myself. So I wouldn't say it would make it worse for the other woman, but it's going to be more of a process. It's going to be more of a feel, because it's going to have to be, I just can't shut it off because I'm an
You ain't gonna
expressive
go in
person.
there with open arms.
Yeah,
You
nah,
gonna
nah, nah,
yeah.
nah, nah, nah. It's gonna be more of a process. So it's gonna have more layers to the first time. So it's just you live and you learn, right? You live and you learn. But
Yep.
I'm not going to abuse the next person or hold them accountable for something they had no dealings in. That's not right.
I
Because
mean,
I wouldn't want that for myself. You know what
but
I mean?
I think at the same time, though, it's easy to say, "Oh, I'm not going to subject that to the next person."
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the track record,
Mm-hmm.
the women that we are with,
Mm-hmm.
and the majority of them outweigh the minority when it comes to how they receive our vulnerability.
Yeah.
Uh, a number one prime example is the judgment.
Yeah.
The judge. Um, my experience with women is that they've been very judgy
Yeah.
of the emotions, the experiences I've been through,
Mm-hmm.
why behind certain things when it comes to our fundamental differences and what relationships look like,
Yeah.
and that just makes me just want to handle that by myself
Facts.
when it comes to my emotions, and
Right.
now I got like this stoic personality about me. Like I don't have it. You'll never know how I feel. My
Yeah.
face will never show it. My body language will never show it
Mm.
Yeah.
because of the fact that
Yeah.
I've been judged before for being vulnerable.
Uh.
Can I ask?
So
Well,
Oh,
I got a question for him real quick.
yeah, I do too.
Um.
But go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, bro. Like, okay, so before you weren't stoic.
There have been times when I haven't been. I've been vocal. Yeah,
Yeah, you was more free with your information.
yeah.
And then this, so like before when you was free with your information and now, are you getting the same amount of women?
Uh, yeah, absolutely.
And are you more successful on the back end with the stoic thing?
It's about 50-50. Yeah,
About 50
either
50.
either a woman is gonna take it, or they're just like, nah. It's
Yeah,
either like
yeah,
something they cool with or a red flag. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And it
yeah,
doesn't really have to be anything
yeah,
serious, but just like a fundamental difference in
yeah,
relationship. Like, oh, I don't believe in X, Y, Z, or
yeah.
I think it should be like this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So, well, follow-up question before, and then I'll let you. I'm sorry, man. I'm just kind of
No,
interested right now.
yeah.
So like, as far as women, are you meeting them as in, like, on we're going on a date, or are you meeting them out and about and having conversations?
I mean, it varies.
It varies.
Yeah, it could vary. It could
Yeah.
be whatever, social media, out in
Mm-hmm.
public, the traditional way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it, when you put the philosophies up against each other,
Mm-hmm.
and like I say, there's a fundamental difference. A woman has a tendency, in my experience, to judge a man on what his philosophy is versus what hers is, rather
Mm-hmm.
than effectively disagreeing if there is a difference. You
Yeah.
see what
Yeah.
So if I think that, let's say, there should be an equal contribution to a relationship as far as when it comes to how people feel, like how they both feel about each other.
Yeah.
But I'm the only one giving the contribution, and you're on the receiving end,
Yeah.
and you believe, and the woman believes it should be another way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, all you want to do is this X, Y, Z. That's when the
Mm-hmm.
judgment comes in at.
Yeah.
And so that's when, like, at that point, I'm like, okay, I don't even want to explain
Yeah.
what a relationship looks like anymore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to. I don't want to explain that. I don't want to tell how that looks, because track record has shown me that I'm gonna get judged for it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Tyron, question. The relationships that you're speaking on, are these relationships starting from a friendship, or they're starting from you immediately looking at
Yeah.
this person as someone that, oh,
Yeah.
well, we're dating, or I'm gonna take this person on a date, or she's fine, so I want to ask her out. I mean, are these situations developed from friendships? Because I'm interested in knowing that part, because I
Yeah.
feel like, one, um, just as human beings, a lot of times the relationships don't start right.
You own it,
You
sister.
don't even know who we're
Right.
talking to. You don't even know
Yeah.
the woman that you're dealing with, because you're not
Yeah.
even starting the relationship off right.
Well,
And that's
I
for
don't.
women and men.
Well, yeah,
And
I don't believe in moving quick like that. So, yeah,
oh,
Well,
like if I ever get in like a relationship, I'll never, start out as like, all right, we met, all right, boom, we dating,
yeah.
we go
Yeah.
together. Like,
It's a process.
yeah, it's definitely a scaffold process.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, certain things you got to work your way up to. I need to know who you are, who I'm dealing with, so I can claim you.
Yeah.
Tyron, can I ask you this question real quick?
okay.
Or,
Um,
Yeah.
and I hope this is not a deep question, and if it is, just forgive me.
Yeah.
But how's your relationship with your mom?
I love my mother.
Okay,
Like
so
that.
do you
I,
feel
I learned
understood?
my mother.
Yeah, like how we talk about the misunderstanding of man. Do you
Is,
think she raised you in a way where she?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. My mom is not perfect
Mhm.
by no means, but if no one understands me, it's my mother.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
like I say, like a lot of I hear a lot of men, like they will brag on their mother, and rightfully so. In a lot of cases, that's all men had or have
Yeah.
is their
Mhm.
mother. Um, for me, I grew up in a 2-parent household, and I respect and I love my father, but my mother is, as a woman, that was the first woman that I've seen behave in a way that gives two sides to how women are.
Mhm.
Like I said, my mother wasn't perfect. My mother wasn't always faithful. My mother wasn't always supportive, but she gave me a glimpse of the duality that comes with a woman. She gave me the good and the bad side of what to look for in a woman. She was the point of reference to what a wife is and isn't.
Mhm.
So yeah, absolutely. Like that's my mother, and she had accountability for how she was compared to how she is now.
Okay, and so that's the dating part of it. I don't know if you are a parent or whatever, but
Mhm.
okay, I don't know if you have a girl and a boy, but
I have 2 girls.
you have two girls. If you had a son as well, would you raise your daughter and your son the same, or would they be raised differently? Because I'm trying to raise you as a man, and I'm trying to raise you as a young woman.
I would raise them in a way that they need to maneuver through life as a woman and as a man. If I had a son, I would raise my son to understand this is what you got to go through as a man, because it's common knowledge that women and men go through different things in this world. So you can't raise them on the same trajectory as you would, like I guess you were asking. It has to be different.
Yeah.
It has to be different. You
Yeah.
all experience things that men will never understand, and we experience things the way that women will never understand.
So do you think that's where the misunderstanding come from then? If we are raised
Mm.
differently because there are different expectations. So if we're saying men, you're supposed to do this and women you're supposed to do that,
Yeah.
But
when you're
I
feeling
think,
misunderstood, where is that?
well, it's that's a bit vague when you ask that question, because then you got to break
Yeah.
it down into how how are you raising them to deal with the workplace? How are you raising
Yeah.
them to deal with people in society? How are you raising
Yeah.
them to deal with friends? How are you raising them to deal with partners? How are you raising them to deal with
Yeah.
yourself? Like, so you gotta really think about how it is, because again, they gotta maneuver through a lot of different areas of life, and you gotta teach them all of those areas. So right now, this particular podcast is about, are we talking about relationships when the misunderstanding comes in, friendships, communication? Like, what are we talking about here? Because that's really where it comes in at. This misunderstanding is multifaceted in a lot of ways. So
I think
It is. But a lot of the misunderstanding starts with communication, right?
Yeah.
I think that we were coming from a point of misunderstanding men. You guys hit on it from Jump Street, is the part that you're human and you have feelings and emotions. My question would be, with having to suppress so many emotions and feelings and not being able to put a label on them and to suppress those things, how do you navigate this world without going into severe depression or psychosis? How do you suppress those things without having to have a outlash with them?
You redirect your focus. Like for me, mine is work. You redirect your focus. You focus on things that are going to consume your mind, and you basically don't allow yourself any free time.
So you don't live?
I mean, you live, of course, but when I say downtime, prime example. I don't know how Derek and Nick, I don't know how y'all did it during the pandemic, but the pandemic gave me a lot to reflect on because I had time. I wasn't in a day-to-day grind, and I wasn't in a day-to-day hustle like I was pre-pandemic. Now the pandemic hit, I got all this time on my hands, and now I'm just like, okay, yeah, there's some things about me I don't like. There's things about society I don't like. And it put me in a headspace of not being as positive as I wanted to be. I was real cynical. I was real upset all the time. I was, just, and I felt like I was helpless. I was hopeless. I had no way to fix all the issues that I was dealing with. And I think, because I had that time on my hands, I had time to really sit back and think about these things. But when you're busy, you don't really have time to sit and really think, practice about all the things that are bothering you.
Also, black men's tolerance, to your point, is higher, right? And so those things like having mental breakdowns and stress, and it's at a higher level for us because of what we already deal with. And so I think we're able to carry it a little bit better, especially the older generation or mid-age generation versus the younger generation. They break down so much easier now, just because of life and social media access and just so much that can allow them. Where the older generation, it just takes a lot more to really get to them. And same thing for Tyron, for me is, you don't do it on purpose, but you fulfill that somewhere else, whether that's through your kids or you continue to keep working. You always figure out what's important. Why am I doing this? What's my grind? Okay, my kids, my wife, or whatever you may be working towards. Y'all might be trying to buy a house, whatever the situation is, you got something to keep you laser focused and keep going through what, like you said, will probably be, a depression moment, a breakdown, a meltdown. So,
you guys, I have a question based on something that Tyron just said. So Sunday, I went to a women's empowerment brunch. And as women, we know there's probably a women empowerment brunch 2 or 3 or 4 every single weekend. So we have an opportunity to connect with other women, to get supported, to feel supported. There's someone potentially that can hold us accountable. Bro, you also said this too. Tyron, you said during COVID, you had a time to self-reflect. So if you guys are not given the time, because you're compartmentalizing, you're doing life and trying to maintain, if you don't have this opportunity to reflect because life is busy, who for men and in you all's cases holds you all accountable? Because what I will often hear are that men kind of move like these lone wolves. Y'all are moving in isolation. So you're not running around to men empowerment brunches. You're not gathering for these large events the same way women are to support each other. So where does accountability come in at? And two, what does it allow you the time to self-reflect? Because I need either somebody or something to hold me accountable in order to see
Yeah.
my own, as you said,
Yeah.
Siren, deficits or
Yeah.
problems.
Um, I can't really speak for them, but I can speak for myself. At 37 years old, I actually ran into a group of men in 2017. Um, and they have been essential in holding me accountable, because you do need that. My husband's style was a mixture of James from Good Times, Uncle Phil, Bill Cosby, the Cosby
Yeah.
Show version. And you know what I mean? So I was picking up things from different people and trying to and kind of forming my own thing. But I think men, we crave that mentorship. We don't, because I mean we need that. We need people to hold us accountable because we think we're operating correctly. But most of us, man, we're operating as our mothers because that's who we saw. You know what I mean? When we were little, we saw our mothers go through bills with that. You know, we saw our mothers argue with females. We saw our mothers fight females. We saw our mothers talk behind their sister back. We saw our mothers do all those things. So men tend to exhibit those things. So I mean, we don't know what we're actually showing to the world. So I mean, you need somebody to say, "Hey, man, like I got in an argument with my wife, and a friend of mine told me, he said, man, you can't come over here if you gonna be yelling at your wife. No man yells at his wife. You don't need to, man. Your voice is naturally deeper. Your voice is naturally gonna carry. Why are you going octaves up with her? That's what your mama
Mhm.
would do in that conflict, because that's what I would see my mother do in that conflict. The first 10 years of my
Mm.
life, I had my dad. So after that, because men, man, we don't have that guide. We don't have that, that space where we can go. Because we making it up along as we go. You know what I mean? We making it up along the way.
So Ray,
We have a couple of
so Ray House,
questions.
he
Can
has.
I?
Hmm?
I'm sorry. We have a couple of questions. Can I put a couple of those up for anyone to take
Uh-huh.
to answer?
Sure.
Can somebody tap that one up there?
So the
Yeah.
The
first
first one.
the first
Yeah.
one is basically, and anyone can answer. How do you deal with an issue or a problem if you continuously choose to suppress?
Uh, like I think y'all said earlier, I put it in my creativity. So my work is kind of my outlet. Um, uh, I have to express it. That's my answer to that. I have to express it. If not, I will express it in a way that's not beneficial to anyone around me or myself.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'll tell you like I tell my students. As a motivational author, I think writing is like the most cost efficient form of therapy,
Yeah.
because I feel like it's easy to write down what you want to do rather than do what you want to do. And so, yes, I know that there's therapy available. You all, I'm pretty sure, are wonderful, talented mental health professionals. Um, but sometimes, like I said, when we get into this grind of uh, occupying our time, sometimes we don't really allot time for therapy sessions. So we get our therapy in other alternative methods. Prime
Mm-hmm.
example, like I said, he lets his work do his thing. I'm a music composer, so if I'm not writing, I'm writing. I'm writing
Yeah.
music. I'm not writing text, and so either way, like I'm always doing something, and I try to put a positive spin on it, so that way, if I'm ever in a moment where my mental health is not at its greatest, I'm doing something constructive to counteract that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other question is, should we just carry it though? Do we sometimes contribute to our own misunderstanding by leaning too heavily on our own masculinity or our misunderstanding of masculinity?
Mm.
Um,
That's a good question.
It is a good question. I think personally, no, we shouldn't just carry it, but we do either way because it's the easiest route, not necessarily the most effective route. And no, it's not enough of us being Black people
Mhm.
that are in the mental health community. Yeah, we are out there, but we're not out there in mass. And I can't express on a couch for an hour to a therapist what I go through as a person who can't relate to that. I can't tell a person the pressure that I feel as a Black man when I deal with issues woven into racism, implicit bias, microaggressions, things like from the time I open my eyes to the time I close my eyes, I'm dealing with racism. I can't tell a white therapist that I'm dealing with this because they wouldn't know what to do with that. They wouldn't know how to handle it the way I should be able to handle it as a Black man. Telling me that this is wrong and that's unacceptable, you should have to go through that. I'm not going to pay for someone to tell me that.
Well, they're not just white male therapists.
Yeah,
I'm a Black woman. She's
No,
a
I'm
Black
saying-
woman. They're Black male. I mean,
I'm a Black woman.
No,
I'm a
you
Black
miss what I'm saying. You miss what I'm saying. I know that y'all exist, but you're not out there in mass.
Mhm.
You're right.
But we
That's
are
what-
out there in the mass.
But-
Let's correct that though, Tyron.
But I said
We
that.
are
Did I
out
not
there
say
in the
that?
mass.
Did I not say that? You're out there. I put that term out there. I know that you all are out there, but are you out there in the numbers compared to white,
No.
male,
Well-
and female?
No.
Well,
No.
I don't
You're not.
necessarily.
No.
don't
But do you know why that is?
But they shouldn't have
Because
to
it goes
dump.
back to also testing. The tests aren't made for us to pass either. So just like
I mean,
SAT
do you-
and all of that, when you get into those types of standardized testing,
Yeah.
a lot of us aren't raised, or the education that we've had hasn't prepared us for that type of testing.
Well,
Okay.
well, also, but
has
also,
that discrepancy been addressed?
well,
in the
It
mental
does
health
get
community?
addressed. It does.
Okay.
What you saying, Nucky?
I think, a lot of times in those professions, in our neighborhoods, we're pushed towards things that we know that make money,
That
right?
too.
And yeah, we're pushed towards things that we know that make money. So like the second people came out and they was making money making t-shirts, everybody had a cricket machine, right?
Exactly.
This is how we get down. So I don't think mental health itself not being a big thing in the Black community, then the positions aligned to it or not. So but I don't like to go to the majority minority thing. They're there. They're present. Find one. They're there.
We are.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Like the frustration comes in locating one. I'm in the DMV. Like,
I mean, you on a car with a bunch of them, fam.
yeah, I know.
One of the three up here.
Yeah. So us three men are lucky.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We know them. We know them now.
Yeah,
Well, how many other Black men out here who know about this?
Yeah, but we gotta take the same accountability stuff we do. We go search and find Black foods. We go find Black barbers, Black beauties.
Exactly.
Thank you,
We
there.
gotta do the same thing.
All you have to do is
That too.
Google.
That too.
Google works.
So yeah,
Yeah.
no excuses. No excuses. I dig it. I dig it. No excuses.
So let's get back on topic, you guys.
Question.
What were you saying?
Tanisha? No, I was waiting for Aretha because I'm gonna come back to this question. Go ahead, Aretha.
No. Go ahead. Go back to the question. I was trying to drive back to the question.
Oh, okay. The question is, she just coming in. She says, "Did you guys cover love languages, which we have not yet? So can we really communicate between the sexes?" So, you guys, what's your take on going back to this communication piece? Because that came up a little bit earlier. And in reference to love language, because I personally absolutely adore 5 love languages, right? I think everybody should read it. If you haven't read it, go get the book and read it. So what's you all's take on the impact of communication and possibly how important the 5 love languages is?
Well, in order to embrace the 5 love languages, we have to know what those languages are.
I was just going to say that.
And you got to know your own language.
Yep.
And women,
words of affirmation is very important. I don't mind.
Yes, absolutely. But they have to be able to speak that language.
Yes.
They have to be able to speak that
Or
language.
Want to.
Because in most cases, I can only speak for me, but most women, they want me to come out ready to speak the language, but don't even tell me what that language is. So if I don't ask, they will never express it.
Facts.
So now, like, if I don't, like I said, so what's your love language? That other than that, I would never know.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have that kind of conversation, because I know a number one complaint from women is that, oh, you don't do this enough, you don't do that enough, you don't reassure me or whatever the case is, but you don't communicate what you need. How am I supposed to have? I tell them all the time, I read music, I don't read lines. So
well,
you gotta talk to me. You gotta let me know what you need.
Communication is nonverbal, right? Like, I've been married for 19 years, bro. I'm finna give you some game. I show up at my wife's classroom with an apple, my tie on, and a shirt. I'm her number one student, right? You have to pay attention because a lot of the communication is not going to come verbal. It's not going to come verbal. Like a relationship is stagnant, bro. It evolves like months at a time, then years at a time, then decades at a time, right? But that person, she evolves daily. I don't try to be my wife's husband. I try to be available. I try to be aware. All those other things are going to come into place because I want to, right? I want to. But once you have to be aware of the woman around you. You just can't be like trying to be the protector and the provider. There's this other thing, the priest. You got to, man, like, I have quarterly meetings with my wife and daughter because because one, we have to, and then two, I also can feel when the house is off.
Yeah.
Because I got the pulse on the house. I'm paying attention to everybody in the house. As much as everything I got going on, I understand that I set the tone, and I can't set the tone properly if I don't know what's going on in the house. If I don't know what's going on
the thing about that, I'm gonna tell you like this. I get what you're saying. So I think being aware and also having that verbal communication is equally important, because I'll tell you like this.
For sure.
So I got a daughter, right? My daughter's 12. When she wasn't 12, we all had the kids that, they whine and they talk as they crying, and they don't know how to explain what it is they want. I always say, use your words, talk. You know how to talk. Talk. So while being aware is cool, but at the same time, we both have to be able to use our words.
Well, the conversation should be an inquisition, bro. It shouldn't be like y'all asking each other questions and it's a job interview every time. Y'all got to start at a job interview. Y'all already working. Y'all already working together.
Questions, but we got to have a conversation. We got to have a
like, no, for sure.
Like you and I having this talk right now.
For sure.
Like that has to happen in relationships. Like it can't just be, oh, well, let me see if my awareness skills are straight. No,
bro, you missing the point. You're missing the point. See, the communication is off because a lot of times when we're communicating, we're really talking because we're assuming, right? The awareness, when you're aware of your girl, your communication is more on point, is what I'm saying. You paying attention to stuff that she don't even know you know. And then when you doing that, she opens up, bro. Trust me, I've been doing this for years.
I get it, but I'm just saying that both are equally important. You can't rely on one more than
I'm not saying the other one is not. I'm telling you the other one is.
I got you.
That's all I'm saying.
We got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question about communication because that seems to be
Look,
important. I'm
yeah,
seeing it in the chat. I'm listening to you guys talk about it. So, because we really want this, as it says, real talk with men. So, what's some
facts.
concrete takeaways for women as we're listening to you all talk about these series of things, but more so in this case, communication? So, what
Hmm.
are some things that for you as a man, and this isn't a right or wrong, right? This is just about
Yeah,
your personal experience, but what would
yeah,
you say are examples of ineffective communication? Because I think oftentimes we can engage in behavior and not know
yeah,
that there's a problem with it because we're so used to
yeah,
doing it. And if no one calls us out on it and tells us it's wrong or inappropriate, we continue to do it. So,
yeah.
what would you say are ineffective ways in which women have communicated in the past with you all and it was not effective? And maybe they didn't know. So now
Hmm.
we want to know what those things are.
Um, listening to talk, already thinking that you know what I'm going to say, without just letting me get it all the way out and let me finish.
Mhm.
Listening to talk. That's been very ineffective. Early on in my marriage,
Yeah.
very
Mine
ineffective.
mine would be listening to respond and not understand.
Mm-hmm.
In order to effectively communicate, you have to listen in order to understand what I'm saying, not to just hear yourself. Like Lucky said, you just like if you're talking for that reason, if you already got something in your mind that you want to to respond to, and not actually hear what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the
Facts.
breakdown starts.
Facts.
I think communication comes in all ways, right? They hit the normal ones. I think that love language actually is super important. Uh, a lot of times women give you the wrong love language, right? They don't understand your love language, and so then they miss that point of connecting with you. And I think that's super important to understand that love language so that they can connect with you in the right way, but also vice versa. You got to be able to connect with them as well, so that you could communicate that back. That hey,
Facts.
I can do the same.
Facts.
So, guys, this has been an amazing, amazing show. We have learned a lot because we were able to listen and hear without being prepared to speak or with ulterior motives. This has been absolutely amazing. We want to thank you guys for joining us here
Yeah.
on Real Talk with Men. It has been an absolute pleasure for myself as well as for our co-hosts and the guests that have been in the chat. The chat has just been blowing up. Now, look, everyone here in Bourbon Talk, please do remember to like, share, comment, and don't forget to follow. If you would like to, if you've enjoyed this conversation tonight and you'd like to be a guest on our show, please do email us at S as in Sam, W as in whiskey, P as in Peter, empowerment at gmail.com. And just in the subject line, put guest. And we will contact you to get you on our next and upcoming show. Please tune in every other Monday night at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time here on Facebook and YouTube. You can go back and rewatch this if you like on YouTube. It will be uploaded later. But this has been an absolutely eye-opening experience, and we do appreciate you guys for being vulnerable with us enough to share your thoughts and concerns on this topic tonight. I do believe you blessed our souls as well as our guest souls with just being able to be open and honest, and we appreciate you for joining us tonight. And from
Yes. And
Bourbon
so, and our next show is June 19th. It's a Monday at 8 p.m. Central and 9 p.m. Eastern. It was only on Facebook Live today, but the next time you could catch us on YouTube and Facebook Live at Bourbon Nights, Real Talk with Men. So thank you again. We really appreciate you guys. All of
Yeah.
our
Thanks for having us.
people in the comment, in the chat, you
Thank you.
guys had some great questions. So I'm hoping some of you guys can email us so you can join us and be a guest on here and help us to better understand men and be
Yeah.
in support of men.
Facts. Thank you for
guys.
having us.
Thank you
Yes, thank
guys.
Thank you
It
guys
Thank you.
so
For
much.
being a part of our first show.
Already,
Nucky,
man.
Derek, it was nice meeting y'all, man.
Hey, for real,
Yes.
man. Likewise, brothers.
Good night.
Likewise.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.